Although the 1950s saw the largest outbreak of polio in the United States, with 20,000 suffering paralysis at its peak, the poliovirus was still present during the Great Depression. Franklin Delano Roosevelt was himself a survivor of polio, also known as infantile paralysis. His legs became paralyzed as a result. The United States has a long history of discriminating against its disabled population. During the Great Depression of the 1930s, physically disabled children and adults were rejected by public schools, denied admission to public transportation, and shunned not only by potential employers but even by their families. In the late 1920s, FDR set up a treatment center in Warm Springs, Georgia. Roosevelt's efforts to humanize polio survivors were ahead of his time. He wanted to create a cheerful, bright, warm, and welcoming center that had the flavor of a resort, where those disabled by the poliovirus could come out of the shadows, no longer helpless invalids, and rehabilitate, moving towards self-sufficiency. Poliovirus has no cure, and a vaccine for polio was not available until 1955 by Dr. Jonas Salk. Today, polio is considered 99% eradicated globally, though in 2022, in the U.S., a 20-year-old unvaccinated man was diagnosed with vaccine-derived poliovirus, a strain related to the weakened live virus in the oral polio vaccine. In unvaccinated communities, this strain can mutate and revert to a form that causes illness and paralysis. Symptoms of poliomyelitis include muscle weakness, flu-like symptoms, meningitis affecting the brain and spinal cord, and paralysis of the arms and legs. Many disabled during the Great Depression who wrote to Mrs. Roosevelt, often citing inspiration from her husband, FDR, did not directly challenge the bigotry they faced. Instead, they focused on overcoming their disabilities and obtaining the services that they had been denied, particularly education. Others expressed hope that they might be chosen as one of the youth Mrs. Roosevelt funded to attend the Warm Springs Treatment Center. Welcome to History in Letters and Memoirs Great Depression series. This collection intends to be a living history that draws from two books, Down and Out in the Great Depression, Letters from the Forgotten Man by Robert S. McIlvaine, and Dear Mrs. Roosevelt, Letters from Children of the Great Depression by Robert Cohen. Each installment in this series features a selection of letters organized by topic, with a few excerpts from Cohen, McIlvaine, and other sources to provide additional context. Although these letters were written almost a century ago, their content feels unnervingly close. Because Cohen and McIlvaine have taken great care to faithfully transcribe each letter as it was written, every letter is displayed on screen as it is read. Images from the time period accompany the text. I try my best to read word for word, but at times I make minor changes to language and sentence structure. I claim sole responsibility for any mistakes in interpretation. Likewise, cadence and tone of voice are my subjective attempt to convey the deep feeling with which 1930s Americans wrote to their presidents and politicians, sharing their lives, their despair, their hope, and their need. Dear Mrs. Roosevelt, I read in the papers about the reward, Woman of the Year Award, that you were going to get December 12th, and that you were going to help some poor unfortunate child. I am one of the unfortunate girls. My name is B.L., and I have written to President Roosevelt twice already, and received an answer from President Roosevelt's secretary. It said that he had forwarded it to Warm Springs, Georgia, and then I received a letter from Georgia, and it said that they would love to have me, but they are filled, and that they wouldn't have any room for me for a long time, if ever. And dear Mrs. Roosevelt, I just hope and pray that I will be lucky enough someday to be sent to Georgia by a wonderful woman like you, or by our dear beloved President Roosevelt. I'm 17 years old, and I certainly do wish that I was well and able to go to school and learn like other girls. My parents would only be too happy to send me to Georgia if they could. My father is a poor working man, and we just don't have the money. You know, Mrs. Roosevelt, how a mother and a father is if there is an unwell child in the family. Why, they certainly would do anything in the world for them, but if you can't, you know how bad they feel about it. But if they know there is hope for some help, and if I would ever get help, how happy my father and mother would be, and of course I would be the happiest girl in the world. Mrs. Roosevelt, I am writing this to you because you are a mother too, and you will understand. I will close this letter now, hoping to get a happy answer from you. If you will take this into consideration, I know that our Lord will bless you and President Roosevelt for your kindness. I thank you from the bottom of my heart. May God be with you in all your undertakings. Thanking you, I remain Miss B.L. Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, November 6th, 1934. Dear Madam, I recently read of the honor accorded you through having been chosen the most outstanding woman in the United States for 1934. The makers of the award surely express the feelings of all Americans. We are proud to have a First Lady of America who so nobly carries out the ideals of American womanhood. We commoners are especially appreciative. You and your distinguished husband have lifted us from a position where we were regarded as not having the essential characteristics to lift ourselves from the bonds of dire want, to a position where we are regarded as a great people engaged in a mighty endeavor to conquer the evil of unemployment. However, we who suffer from another evil, that of physical impairment, are even more grateful. You and your husband have completely changed the not altogether kindly viewpoint of the public towards we who are crippled through the consideration you have shown us. My mention of physical handicaps reverts to the newspaper article expressing your wish to donate the money from your award to some child sufferer of infantile paralysis. I am not hardly a child, being 20 years of age, and I am not sure that I suffer from that particular kind of paralysis. I also do not want to take away the opportunity to be treated from a little child who is perhaps worse off than I am. But if you could make me the recipient of your gift, I would appreciate it as a favor I could never repay, regardless of my efforts to recompense you. I will mention some facts which will help you to render a decision. I was given a sound mind and body with which to begin life. Until the summer of 1927, nothing retarded my natural progress. However, that summer I fell from a swinging horizontal bar and injured my spine. From that time, I was not exactly the same boy, although I did not realize it. 3 weeks after the fall, a severe pain developed across the lower portion of my back. After the pain had been there a few days, paralysis of my legs took place, followed by a long period of intense suffering. About a year after being paralyzed, we put a full-length brace on my left leg and a brace on the lower portion of my right limb. The supports enabled me to walk a little with the aid of crutches. I soon grew out of the brace on the right leg, but I continued to wear the other brace for approximately 6 years. Now I wear no braces and am able to stand on my feet and take a few steps without any support. Outside, I still use crutches. This misfortune has not deprived me of an education. I graduated from high school in 1932 and attended the University of Utah during the following year, and shall graduate from the LDS Business College of this city in a short time. Should the information given not prove sufficient, you may be sure that I will gladly do anything I can to further assist you. Very truly yours, D.W.R. Salt Lake City, November 9th, 1934. Dear Mrs. Roosevelt, I read in the current event column about you being awarded a medal and $1,000. I also read what you have decided to use it for. You see, I had a stroke of infantile paralysis 4 years ago last July the 11th. I stayed in the hospital at Oklahoma City 4 months. They just put braces on me. I have worn one for the last 4 years. They have told me they have done all they could aside from keeping braces on me. I might possibly outgrow it. I am only 14 years old, and I think if I had money enough to go to Warm Springs, I might be well. My right leg is the only place paralysis affects me. If you haven't already decided to give the money to some other child, I would never be able to express my appreciation if you would give it to me. I am a freshman in high school, but I think I would have plenty of time to finish school after I had 6 months treatment. I think it was awfully kind of you to use the money, that if it doesn't help me, it will do me good to know it helped some other child suffering from infantile paralysis. Won't you write to me and tell me whether or not you'll give me the money? You probably don't know how it is to be crippled, and how it would be to walk naturally after walking on a crutch 4 years. I think you'll never regret the way you are going to use the money. At least, I hope you don't. My wish is that whoever gets the money becomes well and can walk. I would like to get an answer to my request. Yours truly, R.W. Duncan, Oklahoma, November 17th, 1934. Dear Mrs. Roosevelt, it is a great pleasure to write to you, and I know quite well that you will be glad to do what you could for us. I have written to President Roosevelt about a few months ago, stating that we have a crippled sister who is 17 years old and who has never walked in all her 17 years. We were asking our president to help us out and putting my sister, R, in some home. My mother and father aren't as strong as they were once upon a time. Papa has been sick since 1928 with diabetes, and he is not himself anymore. Mama's health isn't very good, so with a crippled daughter in our house is such a burden to my parents. She has to be carried to bed at night and lifted up from bed in the morning. She is a very heavy-set girl, Mrs. Roosevelt. It is such a strain on my parents lifting her up always. She has never been to school. She doesn't know how to read or write. She doesn't have any pleasures. All she does is sit in a chair all day long. I'm doing this because I have pity on her leading such a life. We have received a letter from WDC saying that we should tell our visitor at the relief office all about the letter and he would know what to do. But they haven't even bothered, Mrs. Roosevelt. I knew they wouldn't because they don't even care to help us out now that we need help badly. We have such a large family. There are 9 of us, and all of the children are growing boys and girls. We are having such a hard time at our home. We have a brother who is working at the Annett Bill Department, and what he gets, Mrs. Roosevelt, isn't enough to support such a large family. Pay rent, gas and electric bills, food and clothing, and my father has a special diet. How could he ever keep well if he doesn't keep up with his diet? That's why Father isn't getting well. He has too many worries. He is always grouchy and scolding at us children. Please do something for us, Mrs. Roosevelt. There is never peace and happiness in our home. I know just what I've went through. That's why I'm asking for your help. I am 19 years old with no freedom at all. I had to stop school at the age of 16 because I was needed at home to help Mother. I know if you will help us, things will be so different for me and the rest of the family. So I am hoping and praying that you will be able to help us out. I'm thanking you in advance. I remain, respectfully, your humble friend, Miss H.P. Cleveland, Ohio, January 22nd, 1936. Dear Mrs. Roosevelt, I am very sorry to bother you at this time of trouble, but I know that you have to travel quite a lot, and I have not known where I could get in touch with you until now. I know that you and President Roosevelt are interested in people who have had infantile paralysis. I am writing to you in hopes that you will be able to help me concerning my college course. 2 years ago, last October, my sister and I had infantile. My sister is all right now, but I had paralysis to the chest, arms, and neck. My neck and chest are fine now. My left arm is all back but the deltoid, and that gets stronger all the time. My right arm is improving, but as yet I have no use of it. It is still in an airplane brace. As my right arm is the bad one, it was necessary for me to learn how to do everything with my left hand. I hope that it won't be too long before I will be able to use my right arm again. My people are doing all that is within their power to help me. Mother exercises my arms every night. I go to the YWCA for swimming during the school year. In the summer, I go to Thousand Island Park on the St. Lawrence River. The extreme cold water seems to help my arm as nothing else will. Perhaps you remember Mr. Louis Brockway of New York City, who saw President Roosevelt about a Mr. Arthur Carpenter, who, I understand, is holding a very important position at Warm Springs. Arthur Carpenter had been an advertising executive at Parents Magazine before becoming a manager of Warm Springs. Quote, in the letter to the editor of the Journal of American History, he argued that the Warm Springs Foundation should initiate a comprehensive campaign oriented around those disabled by polio. This national movement would raise the general standard of medical care and hospital facilities and improve specialized education training so those with a residual handicap might hold a useful place in life and become economically independent. Of equal importance, wrote Carpenter, was educating employers to the philosophy of giving an equal opportunity to those who have visible handicaps, orthopedic cripples, in order to counter the frequent, almost automatic ruling out of consideration of persons who use crutches or braces. Mr. Brockway is a Clinton man and knows us. When I was taken with infantile in the fall of 1931, I was a freshman in high school. Next September, I hope to have enough units to be more than a senior. I had hoped to go to Goucher College in Baltimore, Maryland. Could you tell me something about Goucher? Of course, our sickness has depleted the finances of my people quite a bit, but I feel that I want to, and I must fit myself for some work so that I may be able to take care of myself. I would like to teach in a nursery school. I also think that I would like welfare work if I were able to do it. If you have any suggestions as to other types of work which I would be able to do, I would be glad if you would tell them to me. If we could arrange for a personal interview at your convenience, when you are somewhere near Clinton or Utica, I would be very happy to do so. Sincerely yours, Miss D.J.K. Clinton, New York, April 12, 1934. Creating a living history is not without expense. If you would like to support the channel, please consider making a donation. I've put a link in the description. You can also support by hitting the like button, subscribing and turning on notifications so you don't miss a video, and dropping a comment below on which letter catches your attention and why. Turn to the person next to you and tell them what caught your attention and why. Ask them for their perspective. Listen, respond, connect, continue. Thank you for keeping this history alive. Apart from assistance in creating a caption file, History in Letters and Memoir is an AI-free channel. Dear Mrs. Roosevelt, I am a boy, 18 years of age, who has been very unfortunate the past 3 years. I am the son of a tenant farmer, and while helping my father plant corn on March 22, 1937, I got my left leg caught in the wheel of the planter and failed to stop the mules and pulled my leg off at the knee joint, except the blood vessels and some skin. They set my leg against my parents' protest to remove it. Osteomyelitis is set in, bone infection, and I have been in and out of the Crippled Children's Hospital at Marlin, Texas all these 3.5 years. My leg is stiff, and bone is still draining, and I suppose it will continue to drain all my life. I cannot do any hard labor as my leg is stiff and sore. One nerve has been removed and my foot has dropped, and I have to wear a brace. The state hospital is treating me and will pay tuition in special training when I have finished high school. I am now in the 10th grade. Would have been through high school had I not had this misfortune. My parents are not able to help me get through school since they have spent everything they could get trying to keep me in the hospital when I got hurt. Was in a Temple, Texas hospital 2 months before getting in the state hospital. I have a great desire to finish school and college so that I can be self-supporting. I can never do any farm work. I cannot ever take part in sports like most youths do. I have heard you talk of the youths of our great United States, of which I am one. I have been uplifted by your talks, and that of your great husband, the President of our United States, and I am not going to give up. I am going to get an education and make my life worthwhile and serve my home and my country. I would be so enlightened to get a contribution from the gracious lady of our President. It would be to pay for my schooling. I hope you will acknowledge my letter and my desire to contribute a little to my present needs. I am enclosing cards to back up my letter from my doctor. Sincerely, a true youth of our America, E.C. Holland, Texas, November 28th, 1941. My dear Mrs. Roosevelt, I am a little girl, 15 years old. I was stricken with infantile paralysis last August 15th. My legs are paralyzed. I am heartbroken. I was going into my school year in high school. I'm enclosing my picture, also the clipping about you. I think you are the most wonderful woman, and also our dear President, to help so much in this sad world of ours. I get so lonely and depressed some days, and then I think of President Roosevelt and all the great things he has done, and he also suffered from this dreadful disease. I only hope someday I may get to Warm Springs. I pray dear God will soon help me walk again. Mrs. Roosevelt, please write me a little letter. It would make me so happy. My best wishes to you and yours. Love, V.F. Chicago, Illinois, November 6th, 1935. Many thanks to the historians and archivists whose painstaking work preserves our history. Many more thanks to the forgotten men, women, and children from the Depression era whose words reach through time, offering wisdom and warning.